Hi, it's Jo from Minerva, and today we're going to do a quick little sew along to make a tie. Something you might not have thought of making before, but it's really useful if you're in the wedding sewing circle at the moment. You can choose your own matching ties, which is really useful. You can make them for boys or for men. I'm going to make the boys one today just because it's smaller and it fits on the frame better, and I'm going to use Simplicity 4762. It's got some fabulous wedding waistcoats on there as well. And the two types of tie I'm going to make View E, which is a Windsor knot tie. And the fabric that I'm going to use is this Duchess satin. This Duchess satin comes in 33 different colours. So hopefully if you are wedding sewing, you can match in with the colour that you would like. It's got a nice sort of movement to it, but it is quite firm. Your tie will only be successful if you choose the right fabric. So you need something that's got a bit of stiffness, but not too much. It is cut on the bias so that you get a good roll around the neck band. You want to be choosing this or a poplin or nothing stretch at all. Viscose and challis and rayon will all give you too much drape. So you're looking for something that's got a little bit of stiffness, so that you will get a nice sharp point on your tie. The other thing to mention about your fabric choice is that you don't choose something with a directional print, because if you're cutting on a bias, you're going to be moving the direction of your print. Stripes are also quite tricky to work with. So if it's your first time making a tie, try and use a plain fabric or something with a pattern that's very ditzy or very, very small, so that you're not distorting the angle of your fabric design. Making a tie is easier than you think. It's two main pieces that are joined. It's the cutting and all the preparation that takes the time for a successful tie. There's not very much sewing at all, but you want to make sure that what you are sewing is really, really accurate. All the products that I use today are listed below. There's some really useful little things on there: the carbon paper for transferring markings and the little blunt wheel that will help you to transfer straight line, fold line markings from your paper pieces onto your pattern. Will make a really accurate tie. The first place to start with making a tie is over at the cutting table. We need to learn how to cut our two main pieces on the bias. Okay, over at the cutting table, we're going to cut the 4 pieces for the tie. There are 2 outer tie pieces and there are 2 interfacing pieces, and it's this tie here, tie E, and it's the small child's one. I have traced off the outer tie pieces so that you can see their markings more clearly with the black, and this is piece 9 and piece 10, and those are both the outer tie pieces. Now, the interesting thing about these tie pieces is they need to be cut on the bias, and that's so that when you roll the tie around your neck, it doesn't have ripples all the way around it. So to cut on the bias, you need to fold the fabric at 90 degrees, and I've just pinned that 90-degree fold. I only need to cut one of these, not a double piece. So once I've marked the line of bias, I can now match up this grain line here with the straight grain of the fabric, and I'm going to use that pin line that I made as my line to match up the fabric. Going to pin the fabric on. There's quite a few fold line markings on these tie pieces. The trace, which I've done carefully because that's what's going to give you an even tie shape. There are notches to mark on as well, and there are some dots at the one end, and that's to enable you to join your 2 tie pieces together to get one long tie. I can put my other piece using this grain line here. It's the same one that I marked when I folded the right angle. and you can see the grain line is here and here, meaning these fabric pieces are cut on the bias. If you try and just use a small piece of fabric and line them up on the end, your tie won't go together properly. This Duchess satin does fray a little bit. You can see on the end I'm getting a bit of fray. So because I'm going to be handling a tie quite a bit by turning it inside out, adding linings, I'm going to make sure that it's not going to fray while I'm handling it. So I'm going to cut it out with pinking shears. Okay, once you've got your two outer pieces, you'll also need to cut your two interfacing pieces. So you will have, again, a place where it's going to join in the middle. And that's in a lightweight interfacing. You don't want a really stiff interfacing, because if you do put stiff interfacing on the back of Duchess satin, you'll get a little bit of bubbling. So you need something that's quite light, which is listed in the products below. And now we're going to make sure that we put all of these fold lines onto the fabric. The easiest way to make accurate fold lines is to use Dressmaker's carbon paper, and it's got a sort of sticky edge like old typing carbon paper used to be. And I'm going to have the wrong side of the fabric showing. I'm going to put on the carbon paper, and then I'm going to match up the pattern piece with the fabric. I've flipped the pattern piece over. And then I'm going to use a tracing wheel. This is a blunt one, so it's not got spikes on the end. It's a clover one. It's really comfortable to use, and it just transfers the marking from the carbon paper through onto the fabric, so you can be really accurate when you're tracing on these straight lines. And the more accurate you are, the better finish your tie will have. I'll show you what this looks like on the other side of the fabric. This tool can also be used for tracing patterns straight onto fabric as well. And I've got some little yellow dotted lines running here and here, and I can see those, and those are going to be my fold lines. I use a tracing wheel for marking darts. You can see I've got welt pockets on there that I've been marking. Different curved shapes. It's good for marking pin tucks as well, or things that are really fine and it's quite tricky to transfer the details from a pattern piece onto your fabric. All cut out, all marked up and ready to sew. I marked the fabric on the wrong side with the carbon paper because the carbon paper marking doesn't always come out of the right side of the fabric. But now I can start number 1 of the instructions as if you were following them yourself, and it is to transfer these lines with tacking. So I'm going to use a tacking thread, and I'm going to make some tacking stitches along those lines that I've made with the carbon paper and the serrated wheel, so that I can see them from the right side, but I haven't marked the right side of the fabric with the carbon gluey substance. After completing step 1, which is to transfer all the markings and put the tacking lines in from the right side, so I've got the right side of the fabric shown is the shiny side and I can see the tacking lines. I'm now going to move on to step 2, which is to stitch the centre seam together, and you'll know what this is because it has dots on it, and you're going to match up those seams and join them together. Once you've sewn your seam, you're going to trim it down. I'm going to use pinking shears again because I just don't want that to fray on the centre. And then I'm going to press that seam open, not to one side. I need to make sure that I've got it as flat as possible. I'm also going to use a press cloth because I don't want to damage that sheen of the Duchess satin on the right side. To be as smooth as you can get it. And then it's time to apply the fusible interfacing. Number 3 is to apply fusible interfacing, and you'll have the straight edge on the pointed edge of the tie, and you'll have the slanted edge fitting underneath your seam allowance on the centre join. Try not to overheat it on the Duchess satin, and just check that you haven't got any bubbles on the reverse so that your right side is nice and smooth. And now it's time for stage 4. Number 4 is to turn the ends of your tie. So you've got your fold line there that you marked with basting, and when you fold it over, it will overhang a little bit there, and it's tempting to sort of think you haven't got that fold line right and square it up again, but the ends match, and then you have this little ear that hangs over, so you need to keep your 1 centimetre seam allowance there. And the same for the other end, which will be slightly smaller, but again you need to be following that tacking line, and then you do your 1 centimetre seam there, and then you can trim it, clip the corner and then turn it out. Step 5 is to turn out that lovely point, and the end of your seam gauge is perfect for that because it's not too sharp that is poke through, but you will get a really crisp point. So when you turn it through, you can use that point turner at the end of a seam gauge to work it into a really tight angle. And then these need pressing. Okay, now it's time for number 6. So we're going to turn the tie, bring the right sides together. There's notches along here. I've got little marks that I can follow. I'm going to pin this and sew it, and then we're going to make sure that we press it on that fold line that we've got with our tacking stitch along here. So bring together those sides. Be careful because it's cut on the bias, so it's a little bit stretchy. You need to be careful. And also, if you've got a fabric that's going to mark, then you might want to use clips to put this together. If you're using a silk or something that might make a mark on the right side of your fabric. You need to leave a space in the middle to turn it out, and the way that I do that is to mark it with a pen, because once I'm under the machine I'm whizzing along and then I forget that I need to stop so that I can turn it through. The rest of number 6 is to turn it the right side out. I've put a little piece of ribbon on a safety pin and I've pinned it to the end, and I'm going to now work that end back through. And this is why I used the pinking shears, because I knew that as I was handling the fabric here, I would want to make sure that I wasn't fraying the fabric as I was working it. So then you can, once you've got the shiny sides of the Duchess satin working with each other, it turns through really easily. You get a bit, is quite smooth then. And you can pull this through to one side, and you can undo it, pull it from the other end, and then you've got a little bit of fabric handling to do. So you're going to work the fabric really nicely. You're going to find those fold lines using the tacking, and you're going to press that. It's really important now to use a press cloth because you're going to be pressing from the right side of the fabric. When I've pulled through the other end, I'm then going to follow step 7 and slip stitch the opening closed. And the final stage is to slip stitch the end closed where you turned it through. So try and make your stitches as tiny as possible. And that is how you make a tie. Loads and loads of possibilities for gifting, novelty ties, a Christmas tie, a birthday tie, ties for weddings and special occasions. And it was really, really easy to do. I hope you get to make one. Today's sew along has been from Simplicity 4762. You've got the tie that I've shown today, a casual waistcoat, one with collars, double breasted, and ones with contrasting colours. So it's a really versatile pattern, and it goes from boys up to men's sizes. There's the tie from the Simplicity pattern. That's the waistcoat that came from the same pattern with the welt pockets. I've used the tartan on the back as well, but this Duchess satin is great for lining as well, for a more luxurious lining. So you could have the back in Duchess satin and your front linings and then a matching tie. So the tie has got a really nice finish to it. It's really smooth and it's got that nice clear point on the back. You can also use Duchess satin for female dressmaking, so it makes really nice bodice, full skirts, but you do need to make sure you've got a really sharp needle so you're not getting any little catches in it. Like I said before, it does come in a lot of different colours, so you should be able to find the colour that matches your perfect waistcoat. Thank you very much for watching. All the products that I've used are listed below. It was just a quick one today, but I'm sure that somewhere in your sewing routine there's room for a tie.